Hello, I'm Donna Bauer, the original note buyer. Thanks for joining me. Hey, if you haven't already, be sure to stop by my website, thenotebuyer.com. I've got a great new web guy, and he's been busy uh, putting a really wonderful site together, something I've been wanting for a long time. And he's even working on a membership site and lots of new things, including this blog. So be sure to stop by and take a look. But right now, I want to tell you about one of my students' deals. We're going to call her Stacy, although that is not her real name. And you know that I've always talked about getting phenomenal rates of return. Well, Stacy did exactly that. And I want to share with you the deal that she did, and she wound up getting a phenomenal 51% rate of return. So Stacy decided to send out direct mail. Uh, I'm not sure whether she used postcards or an actual letter, but she did buy a list of note holders, and she sent out her direct mail, and she got a call from Nina Note Seller. And Nina had a note which had been nicely seasoned. They had made payments like clockwork for a period of time, and everything was wonderful on it, but Nina needed some cash. And so she calls up Stacy, and Stacy got out her submission form and got some basic information from Nina, and then she emailed that to me. And that's where I spring into action. So I find out that Nina has the note with a current balance of $25,910. There were 51 payments of $565 remaining, and it was bearing interest at 5% per annum. And so I got out my calculator and kind of backed into what I thought would be a reasonable offer for Nina. And I decided, since it was such a small note, that I would try to keep our profit to a minimum, but still get a decent profit for the amount of time we would put into it. So I figured that $4,000 for Stacy and I to split would be a fair amount of profit on this little deal. And then I also allowed $1,000 for us to flip that to a note seller. So what I did was I figured what would a private investor want for this note, and then I deducted $5,000 to cover our profit and our expenses. And after doing that, I come up with that we would offer Nina $17,186. Now that works out to a 26.5% buy rate. What does that mean? That means that if we were to invest $17,186 of our own money for the right to collect the remaining 51 monthly payments of $565 each, then we would actually be making 26.5% on our money. Okay? And so we call that our buy rate. We are discounting that note to yield 26.5%. So you might be wondering, what is this YTM? YTM is yield to maturity. Now, a lot of times you hear people talk about, what return can I get this for? Well, a lot of times, in real estate, you're going to talk about your returns, but for a note, it's a little bit different, because what this yield to maturity means is, if it goes to maturity, what will your rate of return be? So, in other words, if you invest $17,186 and you collect all 51 monthly payments and it does not pay off early, you would wind up with a 26.5% return. And that's why we say a 26.5% yield, or yield to maturity. Okay? But the fact of the matter is that most notes pay off early. And when you buy a discounted note, your rate of return is going to go up, because you're getting your money back a whole lot quicker. And so in that case, you'll see as we go through the numbers that then we will talk about our actual rate of return. But when you're buying a note, when you give a quote, technically you're quoting it as, in this case, a 26.5% yield to maturity. Okay? So what happened was I called Stacy and I told her, that I thought that we should offer the $17,186 and that would be a 26.5% buy rate. And all of a sudden a light went on and she says, "Wait a minute, Donna." She says, "I've got that much in my IRA and I'd like to get a nice rate of return. Instead of us flipping this to an investor, how about if I'm the investor?" And I said, "Well, that's totally fine with me. So why don't we do this?" We were going to split the profit of $2,000 each. And I said, "How about you pay me a consultant fee of $2,000 and you cover the expenses and we'll just leave your $2,000 profit in the deal." And so she says, "Okay, that'll be great." So her expenses were $400. Now, I had originally figured $1,000, but that was because we were going to flip it so we would have 2 closings. Well, since she was buying it outright like this, that cut the expenses down considerably. So she had the purchase price to Nina, the $17,000. She had the $400 in expenses and my $2,000 fee, and so her total investment was $19,586. And that works out that with a total investment of $19,586, if she collects the remaining 51 monthly payments of $565, she's going to wind up with a 19.23% rate of return, or yield to maturity, okay? Now, what is Stacy's potential profit? Well, let's take a look. First of all, we know she's making 5% on the unpaid balance. That's written into the note. So every month she's going to collect P&I payments, and so she's going to collect that 5% interest that the note is written at. But the beauty of buying a discounted note is the discount. That's a second profit center. So in this case, you figure her profit is, you take the balance that's owed on the note, the $25,910, and she's investing a total of $19,586. So her potential profit in the deal, above and beyond the 5% interest, is an extra $6,324. Pretty sweet, isn't it? So we went ahead and we did this deal. And I do have to say, I should tell you about the property a little bit. It was actually a really cool property. In fact, when Stacy and I were talking, we both kind of laughed and said, "Hey, if this person goes into default, that wouldn't be such a bad deal. Both of us would love to have that property, okay?" But the one thing that neither of us realized at all was that this note was going to pay off early. Because let me tell you, if I had known that, I would have kept this deal for myself. But that's exactly what happened. Stacy started collecting her payments and she got 8 monthly payments of $565 each. And then she gets a phone call from the borrower, and the borrower had just up and decided to refinance and pay her off. I have no idea why, but it was a great thing for Stacy. She was thrilled. She gets a payoff of $22,200. Now, what does that do for her rate of return? It makes it go sky high. Her rate of return jumps from the 19% to over 51%. Just simply because the borrower paid off early. That's all that happened. And it's because she built in this extra profit, the discount, and she was expecting to collect that money over the remaining 50-some payments. But if instead she gets a lump sum payment all of a sudden, obviously, since she's getting that money a lot quicker and she doesn't have to wait for it, then that's what makes her rate of return jump. And in fact, if she had not paid me a consultant fee, her rate of return actually would have been over 70%. Is that a phenomenal rate of return? Are you getting 51% on your investments? Or would you like to get 51% on your investments? I mean, this is such an easy thing to do. And one of the things that I do teach you is to actually encourage the early payoffs. You can call the borrower and you can tell them, hey, interest rates are really low right now. I have a friend who's a mortgage broker and they can help you to refinance and save you some money. And or you can say, hey, if you want to refinance, I'll pay your closing costs for you. Because many times when you're getting this lump sum of cash all of a sudden, it's very easy to offer them an incentive to pay you off early. And that's also a very good reason why you should have a good mortgage broker on your team. Because a lot of times the reason that the person is not paying off is sometimes they have a glitch with their credit and they're trying to repair their credit and that kind of thing. And so if you have a mortgage broker on your team, they'll actually work with that borrower, help them to get their credit score up so that they can in fact refinance. And when they refinance, you're going to wind up with a phenomenal rate of return, just like Stacy did. Now, the best part of this of all, I have not even mentioned to you, is that you can do these in your self-directed IRA, which is exactly what Stacy did. Her IRA actually purchased this note, okay? She did not take money out of her IRA and use it to buy the note, but her IRA actually was the investor. Her IRA bought the note from Nina, her IRA collected 8 monthly payments, and then her IRA collected that last payoff of $22,200. So do you see that all of her profit went into her self-directed IRA? And what's really cool is that was not even a contribution. That was profit from her deal. Just like if she had taken money and invested it in the stock market and the stocks went up and she sold. It's the same type of thing. Now, at another time, I want to talk in depth about using your self-directed IRA, but I just wanted you to see that she did, in fact, do this in her self-directed IRA, and so her IRA got a 51% rate of return on this particular investment, and that's how you get phenomenal rates of return in your self-directed IRA. So I hope this has helped you to see that indeed the fact is that early payoffs on discounted notes are a really simple way to get phenomenal rates of return. Thanks a lot for joining me. I hope that you will visit my website, thenotebuyer.com, and like I said, be sure to join our list so that you can get all the latest information and updates, and you'll get notices each time that I post a new blog. Thanks very much. Happy investing.